Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. It's a special edition of the MMA Fan Podcast because we're here at the O2 for the launch of TNT Sports, and we're with the wonderful Meatball Molly McCann in person. How are you?
Yeah, I'm actually a lot better probably than the last time I've seen you.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, doing all right.
Well, we're here for TNT Sports, and we were wondering, broadcasting for you. You talk really well. You're great with your press conferences and stuff. Is that something that you think you'd be looking to do after your career's finished?
Yeah, I feel I like to break fights down. I like to analyse them a lot. I think that I've got a good way of speaking to a lot of different people. So what I mean, I can put my southern vocabulary on if I need to, or
give us your Cockney accent. What you do?
Shut up, mate. No, but it's
bad.
you having a laugh? No, but I think you've got to read the room, haven't you? And I think when I'm in America, I know how to say my American pronunciations and just little things that I think go a long way. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I do feel as if I've done a bit of punditry stuff with DAZN. I've done a bit with Matchroom. I've done a bit with Sky. So I haven't done a bit with TNT yet, actually. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I didn't do none with BT, so TNT, I want a spat. Yeah.
That's why TNT are going to be better.
That's
because
it.
Molly's going to be there.
That's
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
As they are, Molly.
I got my results back yesterday. I've got a little tear in my muscle and little tears and micro tears in my tendon and my ligaments. But I did tap, I just didn't he didn't stop it quick enough. Otherwise I would have not had to deal with this. But I'll be allowed to punch again in 3 weeks.
Oh, wonderful.
That's
so good. That is good, yeah.
So looking back, UFC London at the O2, what have you took from that fight with Stolarenko?
So it's a bit of a mad one because over the last year, the last 2 fight camps I've had, I really feel like I've really leveled up. I've really gone to new places within me fighting IQ. And then it's we had to really sit there and analyse how's that just happened? Do you know what I mean? How was that just happened? And I don't feel like it's one I need to go home and just work on grappling and be right, we're just going to practice that, because other people who are grappling specialists have tried and haven't took me down and haven't submitted me, and then the last 2 have been that much bigger, and I feel that much of their skill set got off before I got to implement mine, and I feel like I landed a really big heavy overhand in that last fight, and she seen it, wobbled, and then she was like, oh no, none of this. And I feel like it was the same in the fight before. So on the Sunday, if I'd be deadly honest with you and the fans, I kind of sat there and I don't want to do this if I'm not going to be up there with the best, or at least contend for the belt one day. So I was just I'm not going to do this anymore, boys. And Paul Rimmer just sat me down and he's like, I will tell you the day when I think that you'll never be able to make it, or you'll never be able to do this, that or the other. He said, but you haven't cut weight for your last 4 fights. He said, you need to drop down a weight category, Molly, and cut weight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, tell him to fucking be quiet.
Perfect Cockney accent. You fit right into South London. Love it. Shut it.
Yeah.
But the exciting thing that seems to have come out of it is you've announced that you want to try and move down to strawweight.
Yeah.
What is it that prompted the move? Is it just what you said, that you've kind of been fighting against people that you think the size really does matter?
Yeah. People who watch this can go, wow, she's completely deluded if they want to, because I know they're just going to argue with what we say. But
there's always going to be some MMA fans that say something. You just got to ignore them.
But I feel like I don't get outstruck even when I'm on a reach deficit. So if I can put that in my favour, that's me all day. Do you know what I mean? But I come into the UFC not being very professional with weight, and we didn't know how to be professional with weight. And then when I've kind of sorted that out, my last 4 or 5 fights, I've cut weight just so I can eat. Do you know what I mean? And especially last week, when I seen you in London, I was eating pasta, and oats all week and I didn't cut any weight. So I just think it makes sense. She was 20 pounds heavier than me in that cage, and I can normally give it a good go. Do you know what I mean? But I think if I even the playing fields, I'd be one of the tallest fighters in that division, and it just means the only difference with the whole camp is I just have to start 2 to 3 kilo lighter. So if you put that in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be a cut like what she's just done to have to fight me. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've just got to be on a diet for maybe 3 or 4 weeks more than what I'd like to be.
I think that'll be the main difference.
That's the only difference it'll be.
Yeah.
I walk around at 140 kilo at my heaviest. Do you know what I mean? And like if I'm fighting at 125, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Have you had to do any like those kind of like body composition scans, anything like that? You've done
Yeah,
that, and have the
yeah.
results all come back saying this should be a breeze for you?
It's just, instead of having to cut £2 the night before, I'd have to cut 5 or 4. And most straw weights and most flyweights are doing between 8 and 12 pounds. Do you know what I mean? So I've just got to cut for performance now. So just like I could go to boxing tomorrow, lads, and I could really enjoy myself in there and just think about punching, and that was my first love. But I haven't put in that much hard work in building a life for myself in MMA and a career that I love, with fans that I love, and I love this game for the worst days that it's brought me. It's brought me some of the best days of my life, and like I'm not even embarrassed, and people can say, oh, that wasn't a great performance, was it? No, we fucking weren't. I only got 1 punch off, but I'm not going to hide behind it. Like on any given day, I can give you the fight of the night, or I can give you the knockout of the night, and it's just I never get a style that's like, Molly, why don't you fight someone your size? No, let's just give you the fucking a black belt grappler who's dropping down like fucking 2 weight categories, really. Do you know what I mean? But look, if you're going to be the best, you've got to fight the best. And I've never turned a fight down in my life, so absolutely. I can hold my head up on that one.
And in regards to like weight cut, like looking at, seeing Paddy at Fighters Hotel when we saw you just before London, he's looking in good nick. He's not ballooned up. So is it less daunting seeing that Paddy's staying on top of his weight in gym?
Well, I know. I just feel like when you win, you feel like you just deserve to feast like you're the king. And I think me and him so more than myself, blew up in front of the world for you to see. And it's like, for people who don't really be going out for meals and drinking this, that and the other, like, we was constantly taken out, like, taken round the world to different restaurants. Oh, have a drink? No, have this dessert, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, you get a little bit accustomed to it because it's stuff that you've never really had. Do you know what I mean? And then I think, like last year, after our last fight together in July, I don't even think he didn't balloon after the Jared Gordon fight. I think he just knew, just that last fight camp for him, I think he knew, I don't need to make this harder on myself than I do. Yes, he can make the weight easy, and yes, he doesn't moan and he doesn't say it's an issue, but he would probably just like, if I was him, I'd probably just like to have to eat a little bit more than having to just diet. But he's sitting now at a weight where he's cut to make weight the night before at this. Do you know what I mean? So he's doing really well. I think that injury he had was so much more severe than anyone thought. And when he's talking about it, he's like, his foot was there and it was sliding back and forth. There was nothing holding that foot in place. And it's like, if other fighters would have had that injury and fought through it, like he fought the other day, like Dan Hooker fought through broken bones, and he's like, wow, you're this hero, but Paddy does it and he's lost the fight and he's no good and he's this and he's that and he's the other. So it's just like, yeah, I think he just wants a good performance. To just, I know you can't silence the internet because they've always got something to say.
Very unforgiving place.
Oh, it is,
Molly.
but I think even if he fought Islam Makhachev and knocked him out, I think he'd still get, oh, it's a fluke. Do you know what I mean? So there's he can't do no right. But I think him just approaching the fight a little bit different, people, I hope they have more respect for him in that way because he's tidying it up, and I hope he gets the performance he wants in his next fight also. So.
Well, I mean, talking about the weight discrepancies that you mentioned earlier with like fighters cutting between like 8-12 pounds and you only cutting so much, even potentially down at strawweight, I think that really puts in perspective what you've achieved in terms of, you were a ranked flyweight. You fought some really fantastic people, and you won, and you put on phenomenal performances. And I think that's one of those situations where you should be proud of that and take stock of that, given that the size discrepancies that you've had to overcome. When we talk about strawweight, and this is one of the annoying things about fans, and I'm going to be an annoying fan now. You've just had a fight, you've got an injury, but fans are already going, well, I wonder who's next.
Yeah.
I wonder who could be next.
Well, I was, do you know, on the Sunday I flew to Kerry, I flew to Ireland. I came off socials, no one's really seen or heard of me because I've just tried to be quiet, and I've had to have my biggest moments, my worst moments in front of everyone. So it's like, how do I narrate through this little bit without being detrimental to me, like to myself? Do you know what I mean? So I thought, like, don't go out on the aisle getting bladdered, don't go giving everyone like ammunition online, just sit there in your feelings. And I was with family and like on the beach and in the mountains and walking to these little pubs, and I was thinking, I've just made more money in my last 2 fights, which doesn't even combine 1 round, than I have my whole career as an MMA fighter, like wow. 2 times over or 3 times over anyway. So just be thankful of that. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to put things into perspective, because I was like, I can't. I've worked this hard for a year and it'll be that negative. But Graham Boylan rang me on the Monday, and I was just in a positive mind space, and I was just like, yeah, so the plan that you all had for me for the UFC was strawweight, but we just always went with flyweight because it wasn't flyweight. So I want to do that, and I want to fight before the end of the year. My visa's on till April. I said, let me please get me a fight. So he literally said he's going to speak to Mick on Thursday, which is probably a couple of days after this podcast goes out. But I said, it's not out of desperation for money or needing more sponsors or trying to silence the crowd. I just deserve a win because of how hard I've fought. And if anyone knows my story, it's like I've overcome the biggest obstacles constantly in my life, and I don't take losses well. I take them really quite bad. But this time I've done it with my head held high, because I know the work and the sacrifice that I've put in, but I haven't had the performance. But I do know the last time I lost 2 on the bounce, I come back with 3 unreal fights and 3 fight bonuses. So may history repeat itself again.
Well, one of the names that I think and I think a lot of fans would be very excited to see you go up against in a strawweight debut would be, you know, a striker predominantly, someone who's also got a good name, and that might be Angela Hill. Would that have any interest for you at all, or not at all?
Do you know when I looked at the roster of the strawweight, so we went through and we said each fighter what my strengths would be and what would be the areas we need to work at with these fighters. And I looked at Angela Hill, and I've watched MMA for the last 11 years. I have never missed a card, and predominantly Invicta as well. So I watched her on Invicta, I watched her on The Ultimate Fighter, I watched everything she's done in that division. And she's a friend of mine, like I know her through Cage Warriors, now working there. I trained with her in San Diego, I went to see her in Temecula. And I would 100% fight here for like a belt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if me and her could have the BMF of the women, come on, let's go. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great idea.
But like any other way, I wouldn't really want to fight her because I respect and she's my friend. But I would quite honestly say I'd take anyone. There's loads of Brazilians as well, and like history knows that I love a scrap with Brazilians, so we'd have a good one. But I'd like the fights that take me to the top fastest at that weight, because look, there's nothing else to learn. The last 2 fights I got taken down by the bigger fighter and couldn't get back up. That was that, but it won't be the same at the littler weight, you know.
Well, look, we've been told we've got to wrap. We're out of time.
Do you want
Molly.
one more question? I'll let you have it.
Let's do it. So when do you think that debut of that weight's going to be?
I want it to be this year, but it's going to be down to Mick Maynard and what he says. But I would really like to, when Patrick goes out next, if he can get out this year, I want to be on that card with him. Or if he doesn't, I still want to be on a card in November, December. So
there's some good pay-per-views coming up there. I think there's like John Jones, Stipe. I'm not sure if that's the November.
I'm not ready
one.
for November yet, because I can't go back to my
Madison
MSG
Square, yeah.
and not get the win.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
No.
let me get the win first, and then I'm coming back for that next year.
Well, I'm not sure who'll be headlining the December card, but I think you'd be a fantastic addition to that pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
So
Is it
fingers
December
crossed.
9th?
Might be. I think there's talk of maybe Leon Colby headlining that, but I'm not sure. Nothing's confirmed yet, as far as I'm aware.
I might text Leon, lads, please, can you just
Yeah.
ask? Can
Do
I
it.
be? I'll do a
Do it.
prelim. I'll be the first fight on. Let
Yeah.
me get in, let me win, and let me get on
Yeah.
the ale.
Absolutely. Well, whenever it is, Molly, we wish you all the best.
Thank you
And,
very much,
and thanks
lads.
ever so much. It's the third time you've been on the podcast, so you was
I
one of
know.
the first people to step up and support this podcast.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you so much.
Nice one, the fame.
Cheers.
Thank you.